while you're still lying in bed, just ask yourself, how am I feeling today? You know, what's going on? How have I woken up? Did I have a good sleep? Did I not have a good sleep? And then the next question should then be, what do I want to feel? How do I want to be? Well, who's the person I need to be to deal with what I have on my agenda in front of me today?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the 100 Successful Women, a Conversation to Inspire series. I'm really excited and honestly grateful to be here sharing the first podcast episode of 2026 with you. As I mentioned, the start of this year has been a little full on with so much happening behind the scenes, and the podcast was on pause for a little longer than I expected. But I wanted to say a big thank you to each and every one of you for your patience, your support, and for being here with me on this journey. This feels so aligned to begin this year with this conversation that invites us to slow down, reconnect, and come back to ourselves. Our guest this time is the beautiful Tanya Levy, a positive mindset coach, energy management expert, and intuitive healer with over 30 years experience in holistic well-being and transformation. In this episode, we talk about channeling our focus, mastering our energy, and healing from within, especially in the world that feels busy, noisy, and overwhelming. If you have been craving for the clarity, balance, or a gentle reset as you step into this new year, this conversation is for you. So without further ado, let's dive in right away. Hello, Tanya. So happy to see you. Finally have you here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you, Vivienne.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you as well, Tanya. So Tanya, do you mind to remind me again where you're tuning in from?
I'm tuning in from Melbourne, Australia, and very excited to be here.
How's the weather in Melbourne today?
The weather is actually okay. We've had some it's just, it's Melbourne. So it's up and it's down, and it can be 4 seasons in one day. You just never really know what you're getting. But I think we might finally have entered into summer, which is always a good thing.
Finally.
Finally.
Melbourne is just a crazy weather that sometimes I feel very tricky as well. Thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us today. I know that you have been doing a lot of great things, Tanya, and I can't wait for us to hear more about that. But before we dive deep, Tanya, the first question that I always ask these 100 Successful Women guests is that I know that you are a coach, you are a teacher, you are a healer. So and you are a great mom as well. Despite all these labels that you have, who is Tanya at your core?
Wow, that's a very good question. Thank you. Well, I would say I am a student of life. That's who I am at my core. I'm here unraveling and uncovering and discovering everything I am and everything I'm not. I've always been a very curious person and an adventurous soul. So I'm always looking out to see what's going on in life and challenging myself and my boundaries, my limitations, to always sort of learn more about who I am, which I absolutely love. So I'm really a lioness, actually. My rising sign is a Leo, as you can tell by my crazy hair. And so I am a lioness at heart. And the true meaning of the lioness is really the qualities of courage and kindness, and I would say that I really encapsulate both of those. I have a lot of courage to travel uncharted waters, and that I do all the time. And I have a lot of kindness because my true goal is to really help people be the best version of themselves. And I'd like to feel that I do it in a really supporting and nurturing way by empowering others rather than making them follow me or do what I say. But really, I offer things to try for people. So if it works for them, go for it and use it. And if not, then just pop it to the side and look for something else.
Amazing. That's why we are so attracted with each other, because you are also a Leo. Are you a Leo?
No, I'm actually a Libra, but I've got a Leo rising, which is a very powerful part of my personality, actually.
anything to do with Lioness and Leo. That's what I am so loving as well. Thank you so much for telling me about that. And I love what you mentioned about the students of life. That's the things, right? We never stop learning throughout our journey on the earth. And I love that.
Yeah, I agree. It's never, I think it's interesting. I was just away in Bali on a retreat myself, refueling and recharging myself, regenerating. And, it's having some really meaningful conversations with people. And we were talking about that, you do meet some people and they say, I've got there, especially in this personal development space. And we were discussing, we don't really think there is a there. And then when people say they've got there, they're really missing the point, because there's always this natural unfolding and unveiling and unraveling of ourselves, because to get to know our own intricate selves, we're always going the peeling back a layer, and you just get comfortable, and then all of a sudden, something else comes up and you see something else, and then it's off you go again. You're learning and uncovering and discovering again. So it's fabulous.
So true. It's not about getting there, it's about the journey, and never stop learning, because it's along the way. I always tell people it's not about the destination, it's about the process and the progress, and constantly growing from there.
I agree, but it's really important to have a destination in mind, because you think about it. If I was to come to your house, I would put my point of origin in where I am, and then I went into Google Maps, I put the destination, which is your home, and that helps me to really develop the right map in terms of where I want to go. But at any stage along the journey, we can change that destination and we can get a new map depending on what we're needing. So it is really important to have, and especially also to be really authentic about the starting point, because oftentimes we're, trying to be somebody different or not really being authentic with, where we're at in life, and then we'll also get the wrong map. So, I think it's important to have a destination, so that they're your goals or your dreams or your desires, the things that you really want to achieve in life. And then you develop the right map for, where it is that you're heading. But the fun is always on the way, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Start with the end in mind, and because that's where we're heading, but enjoy the journey along the way. I love that when you mentioned about the map. Literally yesterday I talked about on my Facebook Live, I talk about the map is not the territory, and I share a little funny story how I get lost in the Royal National Park. So that's another story for another day. But thank you so much for sharing such a great and insightful sharing as well. So much wisdom that you share there. Thank you so much once again, Tanya. I know that you have been in this space of holistic healing and transformational for 30 years. That's a long time. So can you share with us a little bit, how did you actually get on this personal development journey that initially led you to this path?
I would love to share it. It's actually a really interesting story. When I was growing up, I grew up in a family. There was 5 children, and I really, as I was sort of growing up into my teenage years and even into the very late years of teenage years, I was not into personal development. I was not into yoga. I was not into meditation. I actually thought it was a whole bunch of woohoo, and was really sort of a little bit like stay away. I had the mindset that I wanted to be a really successful business woman, and quite a bossy businesswoman, being the Leo. I wanted to tell everybody what to do. I got a job at 𝐋𝐞𝐬𝐧𝐲 in marketing there. I had quite an important role actually, and was doing that role for quite some time, and was told I was going to be a huge success, which was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have a Ferrari by the time I was 30 years of age, and I was well on my way. And one day when I was at work, I used to work out in Taronga in Melbourne, which was 𝐍𝐶𝐬𝐧𝐲 sort of headquarters. And this lady comes up to me, who I don't know her, she's a complete stranger. She comes up to me and she said, "Tanya," and I said, "Yes." And she said, "I have a message for you." And I'm looking at her like, "Yes, you're wasting my time. Hurry up." And she said, "Look, my great aunt is a psychic," and alarm bells start going off in my head going, "Oh my goodness." She said, "She has a message from you from your mother." Now, my mum passed away when I was 4 years of age. And I'm thinking, how does this woman know? I mean, she might know my name and everything, but she doesn't know that my mum's not around. So I was kind of a little bit annoyed at this woman. And so I turned around and I said to her, take me to this woman. I want to meet this lady. So I went with her the next night. We went into the city and we walked into this beautiful cafe, and here was this woman sitting in the back corner, this, blonde, white-headed nonna, and I knew exactly who she was as soon as I walked in there, and I sort of went straight over to her and we sat down. And she proceeded to go through my entire life and all the times where I'd sat down and, wished my mum was there and said, Mum, I wish you saw me winning this running race, or, I'm upset, Mum, where I'm here. And she started to go through every single event and say, she saw you do this. She was here when you did this. She was around when you asked her to do this. And I was just sitting there. And for about an hour, she went through systematically all these events. There's no way this woman could know all these things. They're really personal, vulnerable stories about myself. And I'm sitting there and I've got tears pouring down my eyes. My whole world is just, seriously, my head was blowing apart. My heart was bursting. And I just turned around to this woman and I said, if you can do it, so can I. They're just the words that came out of my mouth. So I started to go and see this woman, and she taught me how to be able to chat to my mum. And then from there, she sent me to meditation classes and to healing circles. I learned, Reiki and became a Reiki master, like color therapy and crystals. And then my path crossed with a shamanic healer. And I did 9 years with this lady, and she taught me a lot about energy and energy management and grounding and how to heal without giving your energy away, that sort of thing. And then from there, I just sort of went on. I learned forms of kinesiology and touch for health and lots of different things. And my whole life just completely changed. I left the corporate world, obviously. I ended up finding myself in India. I spent nearly 4 years there, off and on in India, and studied lots of different forms of meditation and did my first yoga teacher training in Rishikesh in India. And then everything just went from there. I came home, obviously a little bit of a different person. And that's how it all started. My friends all said, we're just coming to your house to learn yoga and meditation. And I was like, well, I'm not teaching it. And they're like, well, we don't care. We're just going to come. And so then everybody just started to appear and people wanted to do things with me. And I started running corporate stress camps to help people in the corporate world, because that was me. I was a very stressed out person, I found out later. And, started to teach people different ways to manage stress. And this is in the 1990s. So it was before people spoke openly about energy and doing yoga. There wasn't yoga on every corner and those sorts of things. It was still really on the skirts of what was normal. So that was what basically brought me to where I was. It was just a sort of one of those stories where your life just sort of flips on its head and then it's just sort of unraveled, and it just, it doesn't feel like it's my work. It just feels like it's an extension of me.
Oh, wow. You mentioned about that 1990 something. I thought that was happening 4 years ago.
No. So this happened, in the 1990s. So in the mid-1990s is when that all sort of started happening. So a long time ago.
I thought you were 34 years old at one point.
No. I wish. No, I don't. I'm enjoying the wiser years of life. It's a really beautiful thing.
Wow, that's such a fascinating story. I'm curious, that lady who approached you at first, was she a total stranger to you, or she?
Yeah, I didn't know her. She worked at 𝐂𝐬𝐧𝐲𝐚, and her nonna told her to come and find me. She told her my name, and that's what, with the role that I had at 𝐂𝐬𝐧𝐲𝐚, there was a lot of people who knew who I was. So, you know, when she came up to me and said, Tanya, I was like, yes, you know, what do you need, sort of thing. But then when she said that piece about having a message from my mother, I was just like, what? To really taken aback. And like I said, I was not involved in this way at all in esoteric or alternative therapies, but now it's everything I do. So it was really just one of those very pivotal moments in my life. You know, and from there, really, you know, in alignment with your podcast, that's just where I learned to really get in touch with my inner lioness. And now she's roaring all the time.
Oh, wow. I had goosebumps listening to that story of yours, Tanya.
Yeah.
That's like, you're very courageous to follow that women to go to that lady. And then I feel that it's the divine calling that you had at the time, that you trust your gut's feeling that you had to go there, listen to that lady. And that's such a fascinating story.
Yeah, it was really a fascinating part of my life, and just such a turnaround in terms of the person that I was to, you know, where I was going to start going. So yeah, I didn't get the Ferrari yet, that's all.
You will get it. I think that will be your path getting there.
Not necessarily my focus these days. I'm more like to get myself a farm and grow vegetables and have a cow. My priorities have changed a little. I'm not really interested in the Ferrari anymore.
Yeah, I would get so as well. Probably that's probably something external that you were chasing at the time, but you probably have a total different goals or different needs or wants in your life now.
Yeah. Very different. I've given up the high heels and short skirts and fancy suits, you know, for my yoga tights.
Oh, that's amazing, because when you mentioned about you were totally someone who was corporate, so like I can imagine you are that like corporate women that totally know to all this like woo stuff, to someone who are you today. That's such a great journey, and you're such a great role model for people out there. This is something that is real. This is something that can change someone's life, and I love this. Thank you so much for sharing.
And I think, you know, what's amazing about our times today is that now the corporate world has really opened up, you know, and I now go into the corporate world teaching them things like energy management. I run a workshop on how teaching people to manage stress, and it's really important now. And you know, the new way of doing corporate is about creating these meaningful connections and teams and looking after each other. And you know, we all know that when you're kind to somebody, when you treat them with respect and you elevate that person, they want to do more for you. You get more out of them. You feel better because you've helped them to achieve what they want, and it's just better for everybody. So I think, you know, especially for me, it's a magical time, because this full circle of, you know, the corporate world, which was very shut down to any sort of esoteric energy work or anything like that, is now really opening up to it, because they see the value. They see it in increase in bottom line, but their workers are a lot happier as a result of being fed. You know, there's lots of meditation going on in the corporate world, and it's just, you know, the worlds are slowly merging a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think the world is changing, and I love that everyone is more accepting as well. They see things in a different ways, and more possibilities out there.
And I think, you know, the energy is increasing. You know, astrologically, it's very important times at the moment in terms of everything that's going on. And everybody feels it. You know, it's not like it's not like you have to read about it or learn it anymore. It's like people are feeling a lot more, you know, they're becoming more sensitive to what's going on. So it makes sense. You know, it's not something, oh, let me go and study it like it used to be. It is everywhere. It's in the environment around us, and so many more people are open and available to it. It's a really different place these days.
Yeah, I feel that it's much needed, especially in the world that is so much into technologies and AI. This is so needed.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was in a networking group the other day, and they were talking about AI, and there was a lot of technical people in this group, and everybody was going around talking about their experience with AI. And then it came to me. I'm not very technical. And, they sort of said, so, why are you here? And I said, well, I feel my role at the moment with the rise of AI is to teach people and to remind them how to stay human amongst this rise in AI, because AI is everywhere. It's like you can't avoid it, and it's a tool, and used in the right way, it's very useful. But we are human, and we need to stay human. We need to stay in touch with our own inner essential core. We need to remain kind to each other and have human contact and all those things, which is, the machines can't give us that. So I feel, that's a really important role moving forward, is for each of us to embrace ourselves as humans and continue to be human, and then we can walk side by side with a powerful tool without losing ourselves to AI or AI taking over us. So I think there's an emerging need for everybody to really be in nature, connect with their own inner nature, and sort of, walk forward with that in mind.
I love that. I feel like you are the people that is like floating, that you are there to ground us a little bit, with you blended in to ground everyone that's like AI and technology that needed you, definitely. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Tanya. So you talk about releasing limiting belief and step into alignment a lot. So for people who, like, with the word that can be feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and sometimes disconnected, what often that you can give some tips or advice, what would be the first step for us to shift our energy and to gain clarity?
So I think that's a really good question. Thank you, Vivienne. I think, really the most important thing for everyone to realize is that we're the director of our life. Yeah, if we're not directing our own energy, there's someone or something else is. So that is the first thing, is to reclaim that power back, to know that you set the tone every day. Yeah, and if you're not setting the tone every day, then someone or something else is. So my recommendation is every morning is just before you pick up the phone, because as soon as you pick up the phone, straight away somebody or something else is dictating as you do the scrolling. You already get plugged in to everybody else's dramas and their narrative of what's going on. So the first thing is, don't pick up your phone in the morning. I tell people at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, throw your phone on the other side of the room, because then you have to get up to access it, which is, most of us don't want to get up straight away anyway. So that's the first thing, is to tune into yourself. While you're still lying in bed, just ask yourself, how am I feeling today? What's going on? How have I woken up? Did I have a good sleep? Did I not have a good sleep? And then the next question should then be, what do I want to feel? How do I want to be? Well, who's the person I need to be to deal with what I have on my agenda in front of me today? And that might be, I need to be really focused because I've got to give a presentation. It might be, I've got to be really nurturing because I'm going to care for a sick person. It could be that I need to just be relaxed because I've got the day off and I can chill out and do what I want to be. So, it's different for different days. And then it's to really, to set that tone within inside yourself. So once you've made the decision, so getting the awareness of what you want, then making the decision, okay, this is what I want to be. So let's say, for example, it's focused. Like for me this morning, I wanted to be lively and focused. I knew I had this podcast and I wanted to be lively and energetic, but I wanted to be focused so I could get the right communication across and listen to your answers properly. Then after that, the next question you have to ask yourself is, have I ever felt like that before? Now, with the subconscious level of mind, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between something that's real or imagined. The internal results are exactly the same. So if you see something or if you imagine it, the internal result is exactly the same. So let's say I wanted to be, upbeat and energetic and focused. So I asked myself, have I felt like that before? Okay. If the answer is no, then you just imagine what it would be like. If the answer is yes, then I close my eyes and I go back to a time when I did feel focused and energized. And as much as I can, I immerse myself and connect with that energy, that feeling of what it's like to be energetic and to be focused. And you just stay there and let that feeling entrain every single cell in your body. Yeah. And you think, what was I doing? If someone was looking at me, how would they know that I was energetic? And, I wouldn't be sitting there like this, I'm sitting up straight and I'm sort of feeling bubbly. And, what does it look like to be focused? Well, I'm looking at the camera and I'm staring at you and, I'm really listening to all your words. So, you cover the visual aspect of it. And then you might think, what would I hear? What would somebody say to me if they were, if I was being energetic and focused? Well, they'd say, wow, you looking really bubbly today and, full of energy. And, you can really tell that you're concentrating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, well, how does that feel? And so the feeling is, I would say the word for me at the moment comes up like it's effervescent, bubbly like champagne or soda water. And so then I would close my eyes and see, where can I feel that feeling inside of me? So now I've connected to it visually, I've connected to it through auditory sensation and also kinesthetic. Yeah, now they're the three main touch bases that our subconscious needs to transform us into that feeling. So now, and the first time you do this, it takes about, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Now, once you practice it like anything, it will take about 10 to 20 seconds. It's not very long at all. And so now all of a sudden, you've directed your energy for the day. I've told myself how I want to feel. I've told myself how I want to be. I'd imagine what would I be wearing if I was feeling effervescent and focused? How would I be standing if I was in a standing situation? And so then all of a sudden I get out of bed and I've set the tone for the day. Yeah. I haven't waited for anybody else to tell me what to do. So I guess, that's one of my key tips, because that starts your day. And then I guess at the other end of the day, and you can do that as many times as you need. And then at the other end of the day, so these are the bookends of the day, I like to sit with a cup of tea, pen and paper, and especially if my mind is busy, I just sit there with the tea and whatever comes to my mind, I write down. Most of it is a little bit of rubbish at the end of the day. It's just a lot of this sort of stuff going on, so it's nice to get it out. I'll have a separate piece of paper maybe for to-do list of things that I need to remember. And so I just get it out of my head. And then what I do is I'll put my hand on my heart and my hand on my abdomen, just close my eyes and take a few deep, meaningful breaths, focusing on the exhale and just releasing any stress and tension for the day, just releasing any worries, any fears, any frustration. So all of those, let's call them less positive feelings, just sort of allow them to be released with your breath. And then, off to bed at night. So it's really setting the tone. Now I've sort of released any tension from the day so I can have a beautiful sleep. I wake up again and then I set the tone for the day. I do what I need to throughout the day. And then again, finish off by noting down anything I need to, releasing anything, and then the cycle continues.
Oh, wow. That's great. It's like, that's a lot of tips that you just offer us, Tanya. I love that you're saying that we can literally do that in 3 to 5 seconds. It's like what you say,
minutes. Yeah.
At the beginning, it's like minutes. It feels like a lot of things that we can think about. But I love that you're saying that once you get used to it, you can do it like instantaneously, because
Yeah. And it is, because you get used to closing your eyes and once you believe something, it happens faster. So in the beginning, people were thinking, I don't know, Tanya said I could do this. Does it work? Does it not work? And then they try it and it's like, ooh, I feel different. Yeah. And then you might feel effervescent. And let's say, for example, which happened the other day, I had to then go to a funeral. well, I don't want to walk into a funeral or bubbly. So in the car, before I got there, I needed to calm my energy and just be more loving and open and sympathetic. So I needed to take my energy down a notch, and then afterwards I needed to go and be there for my son. So I didn't want to have that sort of, that sort of energy. I wanted to lift it up again. So it's like anything, we can adjust our energy just like you do when you walk into a room where the energy is, high vibe. You start to feel really excited, you want to have a little dance. But then if you walk into another room and they're playing, sort of really sort of low vibe energy, then, straight away your energy goes down. So we can change our energy as we choose if you know how to do that.
I love that you're saying it like you got the dimmer knobs that you can dim the light, dim your energy and higher energy. I wish that everyone have that dimmer knob that we can control so easily.
Well, you can control it so easily. So I've actually, at the end of last year, I wrote a new course, which is learning to understand energy management. And it's a weekend course where you actually learn how to do this. You understand your energy signature, because each of us have got a combination or one energy signature. Every energetic signature has its pros and its cons, and it's not that they're cons, but they're things that, like for somebody who's a sensitive, for example, they really need to understand and learn good boundaries. They need to know how to clean their energy. They need to know how to ground. So you learn all of this in the course, plus you learn all the tools. So you walk away with a huge, I wouldn't say a bag of tools, you walk away with a suitcase of tools, so you can vary your energy, protect your energy, cleanse your energy, lift your energy. And also the important thing is we need to understand how to invest our energy,
Yes.
How can we save it a little bit? Because, just like money, we all have a finance plan, but do we have an energy plan?
So that course is like, is that a day course or?
So it's a weekend. The next one I have is on the March 14th and 15th. Yeah. And I'm happy for any of your listeners to give them a 10% discount for listening to this podcast today. If they just mention your name in the communication that they'll have with me, then I'll happily extend that 10% discount to them. And so the energy management course comes in 2 stages. So there's a level 1 and then there's a level 2, which takes things a little bit further in terms of learning how we negotiate our energy, and very much in forms of communication, there's a negotiation. And again, you want to make sure that in your negotiations, which we all have every day, we're not ending the day with zero energy in our bank account. And you want to make sure you're not taking energy from other people. You want to make sure that all the time you're aware of your negotiations, even like your family, for an example. That's a big energy negotiation. But we get a lot from, or some people get a lot from their family. So what they need to do to participate or be a member of the family equals or is in a good range of an energy exchange for what they get back. And for some people, like one of the people who was in my last course, she gives a lot to her family. She doesn't get a lot back. So she knows that creates a little bit of a deficit, but she loves that relationship and she's not willing to give it up, which you don't have to. But she knows now that when she comes away from her family, she needs to practice the tools to increase her energy again so she's not depleted.
Wow, that's so important. I love that. So who is that course for? Is that for anyone, or is there any particular people that can go through that course?
Everybody and anybody. I've had men and women and all genders in between, all those things. I've had pretty much anyone these days. The oldest person I have was 75 that just did the course. And I've also had some 18-year-olds. I feel that, sometimes maybe less than 18, some people are not aware enough, but it's not closed to anybody. So, for me, my mission is to really empower people to understand that they're the architect of their life. They get to choose what they create, the energy they have throughout life. So the more people that I can empower with this knowledge, the better, because as we increase our energy, it has a ripple effect and it expands and vibrates out into everyone and everything around us. So for me, the more people, the better.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like a great cause, and thank you so much for offering that to us all. And I think for those of you who are listening, make sure you get connected with Tanya to find out the detail of the course that she's offering. So Tanya, I'm just, do you mind to share a little bit with us, with the people attending the course or that you help with? What are some of the shifts that you can see in these people who you work with or that you help with? Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely, sure. So one of the biggest things is, everyone comes away going, that was a life-changing course. And so I think the most common thing I hear, particularly at the moment before the course, is people are just exhausted. Everybody is really tired, especially post-COVID. Everybody's doing more, getting paid less. People's health is a little bit compromised, and it just feels like life is going faster. So, everybody feels like they're always chasing their tail. So I think one thing is it's given people the inner power to reclaim their energy. So most of them have now got practices and tools that they can use on a daily basis so that they can really lift their energy up, because they were just not they didn't know how to. So that was one thing. The other thing, a lot of people have said, is they now understand where they're losing their energy, because it's one thing to be able to increase your energy, and it's kind of like, a cup. So, if you take a cup like this, I can fill the water up or the energy, and because the cup is solid, nothing comes out. Yeah. But for most of us, our cup is our body. And for a lot of us, we've got holes everywhere, So yes, the energy, you can increase your energy, but if you've got holes in your cup or in your auric field, then it just goes in one end and straight out the other. So a lot of people, by doing the course, it allowed them to see where their holes are. Where they're losing their energy to. And it might be to an unhealthy relationship. And, a lot of people have got unhealthy relationships, not just at home with, with partners and things and husbands and wives, but some people, there's not unhealthy relationships going on in their work life. They might have a boss which is very demanding or has strong energy or is an energy vampire that's taking it. A lot of people are involved in even friendship groups where one person in the group is a real victim and tends to suck the energy from other people. So a lot of people, so they're the things. It's first of all getting some tools to really help them manage their energy. In particular, this piece where people have been really exhausted, it's them understanding and regaining the power that it's up to them to decide. They're no longer the victim. They're actually in the driver's seat of their car. They're the ones who are responsible for managing their energy. They're not supposed to wait for somebody else to help them to feel better or to rescue them, or somebody has to do this or that for them to make them feel energized. It's up to them. For each one of us, it's our responsibility. So I guess understanding and then reclaiming that is also really important. And then, like I said, it's knowing where you're losing, the energy, and even like in the last course, there was one guy who had a really unhealthy relationship with one of his sisters. She was quite bossy, maybe verging on narcissistic. And she was just constantly just draining his energy. So he learned how to create boundaries. I've got a really powerful boundary exercise that we learn, which really helps you to solidify your boundaries. So, he just contacted me the other day and said he went to his sister's house, and he went there and he felt really calm and relaxed and energized, and he left and he felt the same. And it's not that you blame the other person. It's not about blaming his sister for taking her energy, because most people are not even aware that they're doing that. But it gave him the power that he could hang out with his sister, who he loves dearly, without her taking all his energy. So, you know, there are just so many valuable tools, but it just allows people to participate more effectively and with much more awareness, you know, about where their energy is. And again, reclaim that they're in control of their life, not anybody else.
Yes, to reclaim that control. That's so true. If we don't, like you say, if we don't take the control, someone else will.
Correct. And that's so important, you know, and I think you need to say it usually about 10 times before some people hear that, you know. We are co-creators of our lives, you know. We get to co-create what we want, but if you're not co-creating it, then somebody or something else will set the tone around you, you know. And it's only about learning how to do it. There's nobody who can't do it, not that I've come across so far. It's just, you know, some people need to start with little baby steps, just like when you're learning to speak Italian or something. You know, you're not going to have full conversation straight away. You're going to start with the alphabet. And then other people are a little bit more fluent in energetic language and practices, and they go a little bit faster. And I find it's really interesting because each of the groups that I've had, and they're smaller groups, they're under 10 people, so it's not big courses, so that because you need that energetic connection. And each of the groups have been so different. And I always find that it's this, people come together or in the right course, with usually very similar themes running through their world, and it gives me the ability to then really change the course material a little bit to focus on, like last time, a lot of them had negative self-talk. You know, that's a big one for a lot of people, where our inner dialogue is not very supportive. So we did a lot more emphasis of speaking about that. There were a lot of sensitives in the room, so we did a lot more on grounding, cleansing practices and boundaries. So you do get a huge workbook to take home with you. So all the practices are given. So it's not that you have to remember anything. So you're able to do everything afterwards as well. So yeah, it's a really, really powerful course.
Amazing. Sound like such a great course that can, like you say, the ripple effects that you're creating. I love that. So where can people find you online, Tanya, if they're interested in know more about what you're doing, and especially about the course that you just mentioned?
So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, Tanya Levy, and I think we'll put the link below with all the socials as well. My business name is In Purpose. I do have a website, which is inpurpose.com.au. I am just about to be doing a big revamp of the website at the moment, so you can hang tight. You can also email me at tanya@inpurpose.com.au. And very, very soon, the new course, like I said, for March 14 and 15 will be up and available. And 𝐂𝐚𝐺𝐷 is where you can sort of sign up. And very happy to have a chat with somebody if they need more details about what's going on, or if they're unsure if it's, the right fit for them. So very happy to have a chat too.
I love that. Such a great thing that you're doing there, Tanya. I love that. Like you say, you are raising the energy, the vibration, and that's so much needed in the world today, especially.
Yeah. And there is one other thing that I'm involved in. So I do run with my business partner, Vicky Friedman. We run women's wellness retreats. They're called Me Treat Retreats, and it's a fabulous way. It's not too hardcore wellness retreat. All the activities are optional. We have yoga, we have meditation, we do sacred drum journeys, we have massages and Turkish hammams, and we go for nice nature walks, and we have a gorgeous private chef that comes and does delicious food. And also at nighttime we offer a glass of wine or two for those that want to indulge, and we really encourage women to connect. our focus is to really nurture women and to give them lots of different wellness activities that they can try. It's always in a beautiful settings. We've got one coming up in March, the 19th and the 22nd, and that's actually at the Amaranth Retreat Centre, which is in the Yarra Valley, but usually they're in Hepburn Springs. So we can pop the link for that one as well, because it's a beautiful place to sort of meet other women. This one is for women also only, and and just have some really beautiful connections and conversations about wellness and about what it's like to be a woman. And it's a time where somebody else can spoil you, because as women, as ladies, we're some of us are mothers, we're all sisters and daughters, and we're always looking after somebody else. So it's really important to sort of prioritize yourself and your own well-being sometimes too.
Yes, I'll definitely ask for that link to be included in the description as well. Yeah, thank you so much once again, Tanya, for your time sharing with us so much wisdom and knowledge that you had. And definitely so many practical tips that you just shared with us as well. Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm very well aware of the time. Yes, before we wrap up, what is one of your final message that you can leave for other women out there, especially they are also wanting to be on this journey, especially they wanted to be on this healing journey as well?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to prioritize yourself. As women, we're always looking after everybody else, and I think it's really time to sort of focus on you and to remember, the more you fill up your own cup, the more you've got to share with everybody else. And you just have to start. It's not about being good at it, because it's different for everybody. And once you start, reach out, join a group. Listening to your podcast will give people a lot of feed. Coming to an energy management course or to a retreat, or working with the community. We're meant to be together with other people. So it's not something that you have to do on your own. It's something that you can connect in to other like-minded women or to other like-minded people in general, and to really just nurture yourself and reclaim your power as not only a beautiful lioness, but also an amazing person. And the more amazing you become, the more you can share that with the world and with animals and with the plants and with absolutely everybody else. So look after you.
Amazing. Prioritize yourself. Such a great and beautiful reminder for us all. Thank you so much, Tanya. You got so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and I really think that we need more time to tap into your knowledge and tap into what you just shared. But then again, definitely we will talk to Tanya more, hopefully in the future, to share with us her wealth of knowledge. But thank you again. Before we hit the stop recording button, is there anything else that you would like me to ask that I haven't asked yet, Tanya?
No, but I think I would love to really shine some light on you. I think you're doing an amazing job. And, it is people like you that take the message and are spreading the message of empowerment and of growth and energetic awareness to everybody else. So a big, huge thank you to you for being you and, unleashing your inner lioness. I think you put out some really valuable information for everybody, and not everybody can do that. So it's just amazing that you're honoring your talents and your inner self and being the best version of you. So a big thank you to you, and a big thank you for having me on your podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that, Tanya. Thank you so much for that. That means so much. That helped me to keep doing what I'm doing as well. And thank you so much for being one of the guests of this 100 Successful Women and sharing your wisdom. And I can't wait to hear more about what you're doing in the future, or maybe to be in one of the course and learn more about that. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you.